Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest updates on World Cup 2022. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Thank you, guys, so much for joining us as we go through our off-season content schedule, where we are, of course, bringing you the World Cup 2022 updates, as I said just a second ago. Thank you guys for popping in, hanging out with Jacob last night. Uh, you know, Fantastic show as always. Jacob did a great job, and man, what a tournament so far. Today, of course, was day 5 of matches. This is our 4th update, and man, it's just been incredible. So, thank you guys for being with me this evening. Hopefully, everything's coming across good on your side. I am out of town from an undisclosed, secure location. So broadcasting remotely today. Got to watch some World Cup with my family, so a lot of fun. Get to help them see what it is about the beautiful game that I love so much, and seeing seeing former Everton man Richarlison get out there today was fantastic. Adam, how you doing this evening? Glad to see you over here in the chat. Um, and let's just dive right into it, guys. Today 4 more matches took place. Groups G and H played today, getting their first action of the 2022 World Cup underway. The 3 a.m. Mountain Time match was, of course, Switzerland and Cameroon. There really wasn't. I had to go back and watch this one later, and for me, this was a match that I really didn't expect a lot out of Cameroon. Switzerland obviously, in my opinion, is it is easily the more talented side here. You've got a bunch of guys who play in the Bundesliga and across the other Big Five leagues. Breel Imbolo. You've got Shaqiri. Favorite of mine, Nico Elvedi and Jan Sommer both play in the Bundesliga for Gladbach. So fantastic to go back and see them play today and get a win under their belts. Breel Imbolo, obviously, he got the match winner there in the 48th minute. So yeah, I mean, it's a fairly even match in terms of stats and possession and all that kind of stuff. And Switzerland really just kind of they made the most of the opportunities that they had. You look at they just made the most of it. Nothing to really take away from Cameroon. I mean, they played well. They had attempts at seven total shots, 3 of which on the target. But Jan Sommer, of course, guy who's known for his shot stopping ability in the Bundesliga, stood up for Switzerland today. So, congrats to them, and great showing for Switzerland as they move into match number 2 next week. So yeah, for them it's going to be an interesting couple remaining matches because they got Brazil and Serbia. Serbia should be a win, I think, for Switzerland. Again, that's going to be next week, and then Brazil. I mean, this is to me was probably one of the easier groups to look at in terms of who might advance out into the knockout stages. Serbia and Cameroon, not necessarily the strongest clubs in the world. They're not going to compete with some of the higher ranked teams. So for me, it's going to be Brazil and Switzerland. I don't really see either of the other two really making a run at that second spot. I think what it's going to come down to is it may be like a 9-6 point split, or maybe a 7-7 between Brazil, probably just between Brazil and Switzerland. But it just remains to be seen. I mean, obviously anything can happen. We've seen upsets so far, but that's kind of where I'm looking at things, or how I look at it going forward into next week. Heading on over into the other Group G match, that one, of course, was Brazil and Serbia, and I gotta say, this is what it took Brazil a while to play into the match. It took them a while to really find like a quality opening. And when they finally did in the second half, it was just over. It was just all over for Serbia. You look at the stats, and possession is 53% in the favor of Brazil. 24 shots by Brazil, 10 of which were on target. So I mean, their accuracy wasn't great, but they were by far the better side. Brazil is a club that I looked at heading into this. They're my favorite to win the whole thing. That lineup is just stacked top to bottom, and you just saw the difference in quality of the players on the pitch, and it was just apparent top to bottom. Um, I do want to shout out former Everton man and one of my favorite players in recent memory, Richarlison. Richarlison just he had a Richarlison game. Like he much like the rest of Brazil, like he just kind of played his way into it and couldn't really find anything. But it was, again, there in the second half, they found some openings. And when you look at just the way that they play and just the way that Richarlison himself plays, like he's not an out and out nine. He never has been. He's a guy that likes to come in off the wing, cut in towards the middle. And that's something that we've known. We've seen that for years in the Premier League. And so to see the interplay there between Richarlison and Neymar and those guys, like it was just fun. It was so much fun to see. And then of course I think we got the goal of the tournament there with Richarlison's second one. Just an unbelievable ability to control the ball, bring it down, and then leave his feet. And not quite. I mean, you gotta watch it. Go watch the highlights today. I mean, Fox Sports, put it out across the social media asking what was the goal of the day. And I mean, hands down, Richarlison, the second goal that he hit, just unbelievable skill with his feet, control of his body, and being able to put that ball on frame. Like that's something that not many people are going to be able to do. So yeah, I mean, Brazil, Richarlison, Neymar, really great showing for them today. They are, like I said, for me, they are the heavy favorites to win the entire thing. It's going to take a tremendous effort by somebody to knock them out. Now there are some concerns for Neymar. He did, of course, pick up an injury during this match, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Their next match is against Switzerland on Monday. They're saying it's a sprained right ankle, so I mean, obviously that does put a damper on Brazil, and it does remove one of the biggest attacking threats in the world. Neymar has been such a huge part of what Brazil wants to do. But Brazil has just a ton of talent on that side. So while the loss of Neymar is going to be an obstacle that they need to overcome, I don't necessarily think that. I don't see it as being one that's going to prevent them from going forward. I also don't think it's going to be one that, in my mind, I don't see it dampening their chances, because as long as it's not a serious sprain, It's something he could potentially come back from uh, before the later stages of the knockout rounds. So I think, but even then, I think Brazil is just in a really great spot um, to continue to go forward and prevent France from repeating. So yeah, it's been a while since we've seen that happen. So I mean, while France is a talented side, I mean, I think Brazil, even with this injury here, um, they've got the talent. I mean, you look at the forwards on their call ups like Richarlison, Neymar, Rafinha, Jesus, Anthony, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Pedro, Martinelli. It's just insane the amount of talent across the board for Brazil. Yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible. Yeah. So, I mean, Brazil, really fun to watch them. I mean, their biggest concern is going to be making sure that they're not playing down to their opposition and, not necessarily, and avoiding slow starts because you see when clubs get into these slow starts, and we saw it, with Germany and Japan. Germany started that out really slow, and it came back to bite them in the end. They weren't able to put away Japan, and so that's the one thing I think Brazil has working against them. If they don't come out quickly, get a goal early, they might against Switzerland. They may find themselves having to come from behind, but um, I don't see a big threat coming out of that, or anything really standing in the way of Brazil making it all the way to the final. So final two matches of the day. These were the apologies, the 9 and 12 o'clock games Mountain Time. The first of those was Uruguay and Korea. Watching this game, to me, it felt like Korea seemed to me like they were the better side. Now, obviously, the stats don't really bear that out too much. Um, I mean, neither club was good going towards goal, but this to me is one where South Korea played above their level, or the Korean Republic, I should say, played above their level, and Uruguay played down. Um, and I think that's something that's going to come back and bite Uruguay in the long run. They didn't show anything to really make me think that they're going to stand out in this tournament. I wasn't really big on them coming into it. Um, I mean, they're ranked 14th in the world right now, and Korea's ranked 28th. So, I mean, obviously Korea does have some talent. They've got Son, they've got some other guys that are just extremely pacey, and they can put the ball into some really tight areas. But yeah, I mean, this was Uruguay's match to lose, and while they didn't lose it, they certainly didn't do themselves any favors by picking up a win. So, I mean, looking at Group H, like I'm trying to remember who. I don't know if I said who. Oh, yeah, Portugal. I think I had Portugal and Uruguay coming out of this. Um, but yeah, like I said, Uruguay, they've got a tough road ahead of them, particularly after seeing how the other two remaining teams played. Um, Uruguay just, I mean, it was just a massive like letdown. You got guys like Godin, Caceres, Luis Suarez, Darwin Nunez. Like nobody seemed to really connect or find that final touch, and they had issues from what I saw, and I think the pace of Korea kind of hurt them. Now whether or not this is detrimental in the long run to Uruguay, I don't know, but uh, South Korea could potentially threaten for that second spot. I mean, even Ghana could after their performance today as well. So, I mean, Uruguay's got to step up. They've got to figure out something before their second match next week. and hopefully they can, maybe they can start stringing some stuff together in a couple of days that they have off in between. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is a big result for South Korea. Not an upset by any means, but it's one that I don't think most people expected. And so, um, I think it's a positive result for South Korea. I apologize. I'm gonna get that right. I think it's a positive result for Korea, and I think it gives them some confidence going into next week when they do play, Ghana and Portugal. So, speaking of Portugal, uh, this is the first match where I really start to take an exception uh, to the referees. Now, being a referee myself, I understand the calls. I understand the penalty in the second half call awarded to Ronaldo. I get it. Is it a foul? Yes. Is it a very soft foul? Also yes. Now the laws of the game don't give wiggle room on soft versus hard. Like then because then you get into all sorts of weird areas. I mean, stuff like calls are already at a referee's discretion, but this one here was just really hard to swallow from as an objective observer. As a member of the media, I'm more than happy to criticize as a referee. I agree. Like it's a penalty. Like it sucks, but it is. And this was a match where Portugal just left so much undone. They left so many opportunities on the pitch. They consistently played down. Now, Portugal said it's not getting any younger. I mean, Ronaldo's not getting any younger. This is his fifth World Cup appearance. He's also now the first player to score in 5 consecutive World Cups, or maybe it's 5 World Cups altogether. But he's not getting any younger. That Portugal side is not getting any younger, and it showed. Portugal gave Ghana a whole bunch of openings, particularly late in the match. And so, Portugal, they did go up off the penalty conversion. And then, I mean, Ghana had played them tough the entire match. And so you look at that and you say, okay, well, even though Portugal is leading stat wise, they're just absolutely, taking it to them for much of the match in terms of possession and attacking opportunities and things like that. Ghana didn't buckle. Like, yeah, they gave up some shots, they gave up some attempts, but they didn't buckle. They didn't give Portugal really like they didn't give them unadulterated challenges or attempts. Like the unchallenged attempts, I should say. They played them tough, and aside from the penalty, which obviously it's just the one-on-one, Ghana was Ghana was look Ghana was good against Portugal. They played them really well, um, and they just Ghana kept fighting. They came back, and they leveled the match up, one apiece, and then they went down again, and then ended up going down 2-1 before they picked up a second goal in the 89th. And like they just continued to find holes in Portugal, and Portugal left a lot to be desired for, in my opinion, from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint. I can't really. I was just about to say I can't really fault the keeper too much for the 2 goals, but then towards the end of the match, you see the Ghana player come running up from behind, and this is something we've seen. We've seen videos of stuff like this happening. The Ghana player comes from behind of Diogo Costa and tries to take the ball off of him. And had he not lost his footing, we could be talking about a 3-3 Portugal Ghana match, which no one would have expected. I mean, it just goes to show like how even though we have clubs that are favored, and the beautiful game is just this, like there's all these opportunities that these clubs are getting, and they're trying their best to take advantage of it, and they're being presented, especially in this match here, with opportunity after opportunity to get back into the game. And Portugal has, to me, coming out of this, Portugal has far more questions than Ghana does. Ghana seems to know who they are, the way they want to attack, the way they want to play. Portugal has issues. As good as they are attacking with the guys that they have, Portugal's got it. They really do. They really have issues. And, I mean, you can't rely solely on Ronaldo. And obviously, with the talent they have, Bruno Fernandes, João Felix, Otavio, Neves, Silva, João Cancelo. I mean, it's player after player after player who is capable of putting the ball into the back of the net. And yeah, they had three different goal scorers today. And it just shows the talent that they have. But how are they? Do they play up to the level of Switzerland? Do they allow Switzerland to get in, to stay in that match next week? Do they allow um, Switzerland to play their game, or does Portugal sit here and go, okay, we have things we got to figure out. We're gonna enforce our will upon this game. We're gonna make them play our style. We're gonna be better at the back. And, I mean, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I'm sorry, not why am I saying not Switzerland? Korea or Uruguay next week. Um, while I don't see either of them like challenging for that number one spot, I mean, there's a real if Portugal doesn't improve the way that they play, there's a very real chance that they come out of this group with only 5 points. Now, I still think that they're a lock to get out. So I do think they pick up a win on one of these two, but they've got to figure out some things. They do. They got to shore up. For me, the biggest issue is that defensive line. The gaps that were there in that defense were just glaringly obvious, and Ghana took advantage without a doubt. So full credit to Ghana and the way that they played today. It's just one of those things where, if you have deficiencies somewhere on your squad in an environment like this, like it's gonna be glaring to people watching from the outside looking in. So if it's that obvious to those of us, halfway around the world, it's got to be obvious to the the coaching staff and the players, and so they've got to take these next couple of days and fix those issues. So looking ahead to the Friday slate of games, these are the big ones. Well, this is the big one, I should say, for the U.S. here. The 3 a.m. Mountain Time match is Wales versus Iran. If Iran does not win, they will be eliminated. That's what happens here. Wales with a win puts the U.S. in a really tough spot. A draw, not so terrible, but yeah, Iran's basically all but eliminated after this match if they don't pick up a win. Um, I think looking at this one, I want to say Wales is favored, but Iran played tough despite their 6-2 scoreline the other day against England, and so I think Iran could give them a run for their money. So this is one I'm definitely going to check out later in the day. Not one that I'm going to wake up for and watch, but it's definitely one on my watch list for tomorrow. Qatar Senegal, 6 a.m. Mountain Time. Senegal played well in their opening match. They didn't come out and like blow anybody's uh, expectations out of the water. But they came out, they played fairly well. They had some opportunities to score. Um, a win here, and Senegal could be fighting Ecuador for that second spot to come out of Group A. Um, so keep an eye on that. I don't expect anything out of Qatar from this match at all. So, but yeah, again, you never know. Watch that one at your own discretion. There may be better things to do in the morning. I don't know. But Netherlands, Ecuador, both clubs obviously won the first match of the World Cup this year. For me, Netherlands is the favorite in this one. And they had some issues too the other day. Yeah, yes, they won, but this is one where it took them quite a while to get going. So, gonna be a lot of fun. That's the 9 a.m. Mountain Time match, Netherlands Ecuador. My money's on Netherlands going into this, um, but I would not be shocked if Ecuador pulled out a draw or even a win out of this. It just depends on how Netherlands comes out of the gate tomorrow. And then finally, of course, the big one, the noon Mountain Time game, England versus the U.S. This is one that has been building and building to. Everyone's been looking forward to this as soon as the groups were announced. Um, England was impressive in their 6-2 win over Iran the other day. The U.S. looked great for about 60 minutes, which is something you guys have heard us say on this show many, many times before about New Mexico United. Looked great for about 60 minutes, and then the bottom falls out. U.S. of course gave up a late penalty to Gareth Bale on Monday, letting Wales get back into it and pick up a draw. I don't want to say this is a must win for the U.S., but they need to get a result out of here. England has not historically played well against the U.S. in major tournaments, so that's one thing that the U.S. does have going for it. But I mean, the England squad is tried, they're tested, they are extremely talented. England's number one, Jordan Pickford, Everton man. Like just top to bottom, England is a very good side. So this may end up being closer than we think. But the U.S. has got to figure something out. Berhalter maybe get some subs in a little bit earlier. I don't know what he's going to adjust tactically to try to counter what the Three Lions want to do. But noon Mountain Time tomorrow. This is the big one, guys. A loss in the U.S. I mean, the U.S. can't be eliminated tomorrow, no matter what. But obviously, we're hoping for a win. I think a draw is more likely. But do not be surprised if the U.S. loses this. I mean, England is talented. The U.S. is a young team who, despite their talent, again, we talked about it before, they haven't been playing well in the lead up to the World Cup. So keep an eye on this match. We'll see what happens. And before I get here, just wanted to tell everyone thank you again for tuning in, for listening to all of our shows this week. Do appreciate you guys, and a happy Thanksgiving to everyone, wherever you may be. And until next time, Somos Unidos.